Hey everyone, it's Richard Metal Fan here, bringing you guys a brand new 2019 album review. And today we're going to be looking into the new album from the band Opeth entitled In Cauda Venenum, which was released through Nuclear Blast Records. Now, Opeth doesn't really need an introduction if you're a fan of like progressive music. They're a progressive metal rock band, whatever you want to classify them as, hailing all the way from Stockholm, Sweden. And these guys have been around for 30 years, well, exactly 30 years since they formed in 1989. My introduction to Opeth was probably around 2013, 2014. It was somewhere around that range. It was around the time they put out their album Pale Communion. Yeah, but it was before that I wanted to check out all their older stuff, sort of like stuff like Orchid and Morning Rise, My Arms Are Yours. And that was like when they sort of like going to like more progressive death metal where they have like that harsh vocals and styles and stuff. But it wasn't until like, let's progress later on to some of their later work, such as like Blackwater Park and Ghost Reveries and stuff like that, where they incorporated more of a clean vocals a little bit into their sound. And yeah, and of course, with like 2011's Heritage and the Pale Communion and their previous album 2016 Sorceress, they're kind of like going into like a more progressive rock sound, which I thought like the album before that was good, but I know some Opeth fans are gonna hate me for when I say about the previous album, which I think that album wasn't really that good. That was just me. But here we are with the band's, I believe, 13th album in the span of 30 years. This I feel like is kind of like still has like that old style Opeth, but kind of like a newer style, and this album is kind of different. Like there's actually two different versions of this album with the lyrics there's like an English version with the songs sung in English, and then there's another version where the songs are actually sung in Swedish, which actually makes it really interesting to hear sort of like some bands from different like countries like Scandinavia and stuff like sing in their native language. Makes it kind of cool. Well, that's just me. But this album, I definitely was for hearing the first song, Heart in Hand, which in Swedish is Handengor. I probably fucked that up. I was like, damn, I feel like this is kind of like a return to Opeth that has like Michael Ackerfeld screaming again, and I was like, damn, this is really good. And the production on this album is great. They could do no wrong. Michael Ackerfeld's a god. Well, if you're a fan of like progressive music, but he's great. Like, just the guitar work on this album is just superb, and just the drumming from Martin Axelrod's great. The bass is pretty audible. You could definitely hear it well up in the mix. And there's actually some good keyboards, which actually makes it kind of interesting. But yeah, without further ado, let's dive into this album track by track. Now, starting it off is an intro track called Garden of Earthly Delights, which this sacred intro could also become from like a symphonic black metal mass, so a little bit. Has some very like electronic rumbling and sort of like some very bells and a child's voice that makes it sort of like a very ominous mood when you first hear it. And then going into it is the song Dignity, which has some harmonized operatic vocals which soar over the intro before plummeting into spoken words. And this contrast of high and low, fast and slow is a motif that's played over and over. And it also has a little bit of hints of like Queen and a little bit of Rush in here running through this piece, with also a little bit of hints of like 70s prog rock like Pink Floyd, which pulsating through the latter stages of this song. And just the guitars from Fredrik Andersson and Michael Ackerfeld effortlessly find themselves at the forefront on this song. Next song on here is Heart in Hand, which is a maximum overload transition, as I feel it, which segues beautifully into the true core of the song. And Michael and Fredrik's finger picking immediately calms the listener, sending them like somewhere else. And it also fades into like an acoustic bliss of Michael's euphonious voice begins to sort of like reminisce of the past. So it's clear that Michael is like pouring his fully energy soul into the soundscape, and it's clear that each of the band members is playing like a true immersion in the song. And Michael's singing is just kind of like it really instills that deep feeling for each of his band members, and this in turn generates soulful playing from each of every members. And Michael's like lyrical delivery will most likely be a continuing theme throughout the album, which focuses on developing his voice as a staple. Anyway, moving on to Next of Kin, which has it's a very doom progressive like witchcraft carry from Michael's like remarkable voice, and has like a Chimera-esque number which continues to increase with ingenious arrangements and spreads like grandeur. Love, War, and Crime, which has like, it's a lonely piano and a fragile voice prepares the ground for a song in an old like Hollywood movie, but it has elegy and romance throughout the veil of like a mighty hangover. Charlton, when I first heard this song, I just feel like they just like unleashed all prog, which has like febrile, foaming, and psychotic complex at the same time, which just has full of dark energy and unexpected twists on here. Universal Truth, which on this song here, Opeth is like revealing like a whole new face, a beautiful epic rock number with like sweeping guitar work and expressive vocals. Like you could definitely feel the way that Michael Ackerfeld sings. It's just amazing. It also has a little bit of a folky part in there in a mood a little bit that kind of reminds me of like old Deep Purple. Then we go into the Garroter, which has a beautiful flamenco guitar leads down to like a dark jazz bar, a very special and a dark piece of music one has never heard from like a jazzy form of Opeth. Continuum, which has a very wonderful bass melody. This is one of the few times you actually hear the bass on this track. Heck, and this is an eruption in like a deep grave hardness, and Opeth leads a slow and triumphantly through this maze of just like progressiveness. And then the album closes with All Things Will Pass, which concludes with a very crowning climax, and it just makes it very radiant and inspired number that goes straight into the mark and stirs tears with its indescribable beauty. Now overall, the new Opeth album is definitely a step up from Sorceress. I love it. So if I'm going to give in Cauda Venenum a score, I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10. So yeah, that's my review of the new Opeth, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, and I'll see you all in the next video. And as always, keep it metal.